I have followed Sunil Grover ever since his Kuthi days, and his remarkable potential as an acting powerhouse has never been an alien concept to me. Thus, I get excited when actors like this get a chance to prove their potential, and it was on this pretext that I saw Sunflower, a web series recently released on Zee5, a platform that gave us a horrendous abomination in the name of Radhe. Sunflower is not the best series in the world, and some might argue that it's not even a great web series, but it is a good web series. Good as in specifically how it portrays urban India living in an apartment style society. The problem with Sunlight here is the same as most of the web series nowadays, a skewed way of story making wherein you need to have at least 2 seasons. So there are a lot of plots in Sunflower, most of which just disappear into obscurity, while some of them revolve around the murder that has taken place in room number 1001 in the residential society of Sunflower. The story aims to give this dark theme a comic turn by portraying a wide variety of relatable and unique characters on the screen. But in my humble opinion, whilst the idea behind the series is so full of potential, it somewhat failed to deliver on it. So there are two parallel plots happening in the story. So first is the murder investigation of the murdered victim. Second is the chairman election for the society. Along with this, a few subplots like Sunil Grover's character, trying to take his chances in the dating world. Also Gurleen running away from her home in Chandigarh to pursue her dream of singing, and so on. We follow the story of Sonu here, a quirky and slightly delusional everyday kind of guy who is inept in his social interactions. The story is essentially trying to portray itself here as a tragedy. How an innocent and good man in an urban jungle will always be eaten by predators. But there are a few ways the writers approach it. Firstly, through Sonu himself, who still believes in the goodness in people and in the system. In layman terms, a common man unable to hurt even a fly. But on the flip side of this common man spectrum sits Mr. Ahuja, a simpleton much like Sonu, but one who has let go of his belief in people. Now the story doesn't justify why Mr. Ahuja exactly went into this slow descent into his insecurities. Maybe there are some reasons which will be studied further in the season 2, but let's just, for the sake of it, look at both of them as case studies right now. There hasn't been any interaction in the series between Sonu and Mr. Ahuja, but if you analyze closely, you will see the correlation between them. Both work a modest job and all, but the key link between them is a certain someone named Raj Kapoor. Yes, I'm talking about the murdered resident of apartment 1001 of the Sunflower Residential Society. Raj Kapoor has influenced the lives of both Sonu and Mr. Ahuja. Raj Kapoor not to be confused with the actor Raj Kapoor here. With a supposedly alpha-like persona, he is imposing and a self-proclaimed lion of this jungle, and has threatened both Mr. Ahuja and Sonu in terms of their masculine fortitude. God, it seems like I'm just obsessed with masculinity, am I not? Like, कुछ दिनों में लोग मुझे मैस्क्यू यूट्यूबर बोलना शुरू कर देंगे, cause मर्दाना यूट्यूबर कोई definitely नहीं बोलेगा. With Raj Kapoor doing both, filling the ears of Sonu's ex into breaking up with Sonu and constantly assaulting Mr. Ahuja with taking his parking space and threatening him on his sexual insecurities. But the difference between Sonu and Mr. Ahuja is how they deal with this interaction with Raj Kapoor. While Mr. Ahuja decides to break the structure of society and commit murder, Sonu acts as is expected of him in the society. The wedding of Sonu's ex was supposed to be Sonu's breaking point, but you can see how even there, he is okay. Sonu is essentially the Jesus of the story of Sunflower, sacrificing himself for the sins of the society. Because Mr. Ahuja is himself the product of the same society as is everyone else. Now of course, everyone knows the game that is society, and everyone knows the rules, so anyone breaking them is solely responsible for the action. But notice how I say Sonu is punished for the sins and not the crime. The one who did the crime was Mr. Ahuja, but the sinner in this case is the Sunflower Society. An archaic moral stand that is outdated even in villages today somehow seems to have crept up in the balconies of modern apartments somehow. Who lives in the society and who doesn't is decided by people who just don't condone with even the basic structure of the Indian constitution that affirms equality irrespective of caste, gender orientation or lifestyle. What it does in turn is it makes up a society of people who think that they are morally above anything beneath them. And with a society so obsessed with pureness, anything even a bit divergent is considered something to be hated. That is why the elders of the society, including Raj Kapoor himself, don't like Sonu and Mr. Ahuja. But as they are divergent but within the social norms, they can't be rejected a place in the Sunflower Society. It seems as though everything ends up in a cliffhanger nowadays, but it shouldn't happen. The story is pretty straightforward, and even with a little less scenes, more story could have been shared here. But it did seem like the creators elongated it needlessly just to milk a season 2 out of it. But even on that note, I'm really excited for the next season just to see what they do with the character of Sonu, if he grows some kind of moral characteristics of his own, if he deviates this delusion that he is pampering in his mind.